Now let's take out the last panel. Hi, I'm Eric, and this is my Land Rover Defender Expedition Camper. Not so long ago, I set off to discover the world and ended up in Iraq, where I spent 4 months in lockdown due to the pandemic, after which I returned home. And now, after months of waiting, it's time to restart the world trip. But first, I have to prepare the car for a journey of a lifetime. So welcome to Have Fun and Go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is the day I'm gonna start with the camper interior build. I'm actually on my way to the hardware store to collect some building materials together with my dad. But before we continue with today's adventure, we have to go back in time just a little bit because this happened last week. Before starting with the new interior build, I have to remove the old one first. Although I still like the idea behind this interior design, there are a couple of things I dislike, and that's why I'm going to remove everything so that I can start from scratch. If you haven't seen the first episode in which I explain everything, the link is in the description below so you can check it out. Okay, take a last look at the old interior. It's time to say goodbye. Pretty happy with the progress because I want to recycle as much as possible. Oh, and with recycling I mean reuse as many parts as possible, like the electrical wiring, hose connectors and construction fasteners. I have to, be careful when taking everything apart, but not when it comes down to this piece of wood or these pieces, because I glued them to the back panel. So there's only one way to remove them, and that's by using force. Some appropriate violence. I think. So let's see what happens when I... That's one. Number two. Ta-da! Next, I have to remove the metal plate so I can access the little screws which are holding the wooden construction together. Now the little screws are visible, so I can remove those and then take this wooden panel off. What a surprise! More screws! So, almost done with removing the old interior. I am going to keep some of these wooden panels because I think I can use them as a mold for the new interior. You know, took quite some time to make these, so hopefully they will come in handy. I was also hoping to keep the bottom panel, this one, but unfortunately it has to go because it's too damaged. Because I used a lot of wood glue and screws, so this is FUBAR, as they say. But I am going to use it as a mold as well. Now, talking about mold, but a different kind of mold, the location where I installed the water tank, right here, well, it's pretty disgusting, as you can see. My guess it's because there was a lot of condensation around the water tank. So apparently I forgot to create airflow around it, so that's something I have to keep in mind for the new interior build, because I am going to use this location for the water tank again, because you know it fits perfectly, but as I said, there needs to be some airflow. So note to self. All right, now let's take out the last panel. And then, you know, clean everything. So, my plan was to start and clean all the parts for the front axle, but there is a problem with the sandblasting machine. It's really boring. I've sent an email to customer service, but I'm still waiting for a reply, so I have to change my plan. So now I'm going to focus on the interior, but there are so many options, so many possibilities, so many choices, but I know that I'm going to use plywood again, 12 millimeters. That's what I used in the previous build. I like the material, it's easy to work with, it's cheap, I've got the tools for it, because, you know, I would love to have an all aluminum interior, but first of all, that stuff is, compared to wood, way too expensive. Also, if I was planning to spend my money on aluminum, I have to buy, you know, new equipment to bend that stuff and, you know, whatever. I'm not even thinking about it because I'm not going to do it. Plywood it is. Okay, I got all the plywood I need, so I can start with the interior build. But first, well, let's go back to last week again. Alright, but before I'm going to build the interior, first I'm going to create a template out of scrap cardboard, just to get a rough idea where I'm going to put the bench and the storage and the refrigerator, of which I already made a cardboard version. I made this cardboard cooler because it's much easier to move around inside the car when I'm trying to find the perfect location for it. But first I'm going to remove the ceiling, and I'm also going to take out the overhead compartment. Now, the reason why I'm going to remove the ceiling is because I'm going to paint it white. Because the thing is, I like the wood texture, but I dislike the yellowish wood color, so painting them with thinned white paint will preserve the wood texture and disguise the yellow color. After the paint job, I will reinstall the ceiling. And the overhead compartment is a keeper as well, but I'm thinking about turning it around, so instead of it being accessible from this side, the driver's side, it will be accessible from this side. And I'm also thinking about making it a little bit bigger, but we'll see. As you can see, the car is completely empty. Wait a second. The car is completely empty, except for the insulation, but I'm not going to remove it, obviously, because it's, you know, still in perfect condition. And now I can start with the idea for the interior build using the scrap cardboard. While I was removing the old interior, I already had some ideas for the new interior. Now I'm going to divide it into two sections. You have the section on the left and the section on the right. So these are going to be two separate sections. The large portion of the interior is going to be on this side. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Because the door, the big door, is on this side. And because the door is already obstructing the entrance, it's an obvious choice to put the most significant part of the interior build on the same side. Because if I put it on the left, both the door and the interior obstruct the entrance. In addition, getting into the car on the left is much easier thanks to the step and the ladder. Now, maybe you remember this from last week. Note to self: create a bigger lounge space. The bigger lounge space is going to be on this side of the car. To determine the width, hold on, let me just put this over here. So, and this goes over here. All right, so to determine the width between the living room, aka lounge space, and the kitchen slash storage, this width, I use my shoe. Because this is like the width you need when you sit on the bench, and it is about, my shoe is about 30 centimeters, so I'm going to give it like 35. And then you have enough space to move around. All right, so now I've determined the width. I can continue with the rest of the interior test setup. All right. not least, the refrigerator. Alright, so if everything is okay, this will fit something like this. Alright, so made a lot of progress today, which is a good thing. There are still a couple of things I want to tweak and adjust, but not today. So see you tomorrow. So, after dreaming about the interior the whole night, there's only one conclusion, and there is no way to create more space. Or there's actually a little bit more room for storage right over here. Now, I was already planning to create the overhead compartment with the opening on this side, so there's some extra storage. Alright, this looks pretty cool. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the result of the scrap cardboard interior. On the left side you have the much discussed lounge area that extends all the way behind the driver's seat. On the right side is the kitchen area with a lot of storage space. There's the overhead compartment, and on the top right is a shelf to store even more stuff. I can put a panel in the middle section to create a decent sized bedroom. I think it's going to be perfect. Well, maybe not perfect, but close to perfect. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, do I hear my good buddy arriving with the plywood? Yep, he's here. Alright. So, I bought 3 of these. This is the size. 3 is enough. I know this because in the previous build I used 4 panels. And in case I do need more wood, I can use some of the pieces I salvaged from the previous build. And now we can finally start with the interior build. But not in today's video, because I'm gonna end the vlog right here. So, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, because that would really mean a lot to me. Hit the little notification bell, and if you have the urge to leave a comment down below, please do so. Man, feels like homework. Anyhow, see you next week. Bye bye. Oh hey, you guys are still here.